I don't know who needs to hear this, but amazing artwork cannot carry a bad story. Hi, I'm Chris. Welcome to Panels in Progress, a channel about making comics and manga and learning through the process. Today's topic is good art does not equal good comics. And as we talk through this controversial conversation, go ahead, pull out your sketchbooks, pull out your comics, and I'll just give you my ideas, and I definitely want to know your ideas. What do you guys think about this topic? Do you think that artwork is over everything, over story, over character development, over everything? Or do you tend to agree with me and think that you need a good story that also has good artwork in order to make a great comic or manga? Let me know in the comment section below. I will definitely be reading those because I'm interested to see where everyone falls when it comes to this topic. Look, comics are not just pretty pictures that move a story along. Comics, manga, these are stories that have art that help tell the story. It's different from animation, it's different from movies, it's different from a prose novel. Comics are in a league of its own. But I know I'm not the only one who has read a story that has okay art, but the story, that's what grabbed you. That the premise, the hook, the subplot, all that stuff got you involved. And the art, even though it helped tell the story, it wasn't anything that would have got your attention in the first place. And I'm pretty sure we're all on the other side of the spectrum where we have picked up a comic or manga where the art is amazing. Like literally, you cannot believe that the human hand created this amazing piece of artwork. And you read that story and you're like, where is the story? What is happening? Who cares? You know, like a lot of those stories, I'm not gonna lie, I DNF'd them. Which means do not finish if you, or did not finish if you are in the booktube world of things. I actually want to start with the story. There was, and I'm not going to say the name of the artist or the name of the writer, but 10 points to Gryffindor if you guys can figure this out. There is a book that's coming out monthly now, and it is what I thought was going to be an amazing book. This artist, I have only heard legends of the artwork that this person has produced. And the writer is one of the most well-known writers of our time. I don't want to give too many clues because I feel like if I say too much, then it's going to be very easy to know what combination I'm talking about. But anyway, so I missed out on the start of these people's other artworks. I've missed out on their previous books, their previous stories from the beginning. You know, I've read them since past, once they hit their peak storytelling and they got worldwide notoriety, etc., etc. But when they announced that this book would be coming out, I was like, man, this is it. I am going to make it an extra effort to buy this book. The artist is supposedly amazing, which they are. The writing is going to be amazing because I have read this writer's other stories, and those stories, I love those stories. And so these two people coming together, I was like, this is it. This is going to, I'm not only going to see peak comic booking, I'm going to be able to enjoy it as intended on a monthly basis. And I did. I went out, I grabbed that first issue, and it was amazing. The artwork, amazing. The story, you know, I wasn't sure where it was going, but it didn't matter at that point because I wanted to know what was going to happen next. I bought the second issue. Still, artwork, amazing. I mean, literally, the detail that this person can put into a comic page is mind-boggling. The story was okay, it was fine. I bought the third issue. Once again, artwork, amazing. Could not believe it. But by the third issue, now I'm starting to see that this story is boring. This story is not saying anything new, or it doesn't seem like it. This story is basic. And I'm not gonna lie, like, by the fourth issue, I was already checked out. It didn't matter that the art was amazing because the story did not keep me engaged to keep going. And it surely didn't keep me engaged enough to spend my money on it. So I imagine by now the entire thing has come out, and I said to myself, maybe this is a book or a story that should be enjoyed all at once and not on a monthly basis. So I'll come back and I'll revisit that book, and I might change my opinion on the whole story. But those first 3 issues, I think I gave it adequate amount of time to tell something or to grab me. Like, normally, you've been watching my channel, I do a first chapter kind of review on did it hook me, and I'm looking for that inciting incident. I'm looking for that hook that makes me want to keep reading and keep going in the story. By the first chapter or the first issue, it just depends on the format, but usually between the first 20 pages or the first chapter, like I said, it depends. But if I'm not hooked by then, not much is going to hook me later. So the fact that I gave this other series 3 issues, 4 issues, and I still was like lukewarm on it, I was putting in more effort than I felt the writer did at that point. And like I said, this writer knows what they are doing. So I'm saying all of this to say that artwork is important, but that story also is very important. These are 2 things that go hand in hand together to make something readable, something enjoyable for the reader. And I know this is hard to hear because if you are a creator of comics and manga, most likely you were not only doing the drawing of this comic, you're also doing the writing of this comic. And as an artist, we want to be the best artist that we can possibly be. We want our artwork to be as good as it can be to tell this story. And we are constantly drawing and studying and perfecting our craft to make sure that our artwork, when someone scrolls by on Instagram or someone sees that cover page on Webtoons or wherever you have your comic, Global Comics, whatever manga sites you might have uploaded it to, you know that your artwork is going to bring the reader in. That your artwork is front page advertisement for readers to see the artwork and say, I wonder what this is about, and then dig in a little deeper. And like I said, we've all experienced this. The artwork, yes, it can bring you to the story, but if that story doesn't hook them, if that story doesn't motivate them to keep reading, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the artwork is colored to perfection, inked to perfection, because the story did not do its job. It's kind of like an imbalanced body. If you're only working out for the sake of. Actually, this is probably something that most people would be familiar with. Muscular imbalance. A lot of people go to the gym. They want to work on their upper body. They want to work on their chest, their biceps, triceps, back muscles, shoulders, abs, all the superficial things that most people, when they want to build muscle, that is the part of their body that they want to build up the most. And then in doing that, they forget their legs. They have dinky calves. They have no quads, no hamstrings, no glutes, just they're all upper body. If the wind blew, they'd probably fall over. But the legs are super important to building your body. And just like the legs of a workout, that storytelling is equally important. And it should be practiced just as much as your drawing abilities. You should be practicing how to tell a story, how to convey a story. In your story, are you able to not only get your point across, whatever you're trying to say with your story, but are you able to make the reader feel something? Are you able to make them feel excited or terrified, or can you create that tension? I know that it all depends on the genre, but for instance, if you're working in horror or a thriller of some sort, you want to be able to feel that tension. You want to be able to feel that anticipation that something bad is about to happen, and make the reader themselves a little bit nervous about what they might experience as they turn the page. If it's a romance story, you want the will they, won't they kiss, will they, won't they get together, will they, won't they, you want those things to happen in your story. If it's an action adventure, you want challenges, you want stakes, you want something for the main character to overcome, and you want the reader to follow along. You want them to want the character to get their goals. When Naruto was very popular, we wanted Naruto to become Hokage. And also, we wanted to see how he was going to do it. How was this little boy that was the bane of the society's existence, how was he going to become Hokage? We wanted to know. And if you can't get your reader to care about your main character, then you're failing the story, and all the artwork that you're going to put on top of that story is almost a waste of time. And I'm not saying that every single story or every single comic, manga has to be saying something deep and meaningful. Sometimes it's just a good time, and there is space for those comics as well. But for those of us who are writing like a bigger graphic novel or a bigger overarching story, then yes, you need those beats of emotion and frustration and surprise and anticipation. You need all of that in order to keep the reader going forward. And I mean, there's comics that I've read, there's manga that I have read that I still think about to this day. I talk about it, or I haven't talked about it in a while, but Alice in Borderland is a manga that I had only heard about. I didn't really know anything about it. I picked it up and I was instantly hooked. I had never seen a manga like this, and I'm not saying that there's not other manga out there like it, but I found that the way the story was told and the way the character went through all these trials and tribulations, and then the ending of the entire series, it was beautiful. It touched, I don't really get teary-eyed over characters or stories very often, but that particular story, the way it was written, was just so beautiful and so meaningful that it stuck with me, and I knew that I had to have it in my collection. And if you want to have that effect on your reader in some way, shape, or form, then you should also be practicing your ability to tell stories. Your ability to tell stories will get you further than your ability to draw. Now, if you can tell an amazing story and draw that amazing story, then you're already off to the races. But stories are important. Have you ever been with a group of friends and two of the friends have a shared experience, something that happened, and the other friends want to know, like, oh, what happened on that day? And there's two types of storytellers in these groups of friends. There's the one storyteller that they put all the right details in the right order, and they have their friends laughing or like surprised or feeling whatever they want them to feel in that moment. It's almost as if they were there. And then there's the other type of friend that the way they give the story, it's either not in order, or they provide details that don't matter, or they just go on and on and on, and it's like they're not able to get to the point quickly. And it kind of, whatever joke they were trying to set up, it now falls flat. Don't be the second friend. Be the friend where everybody loves the way you tell stories. Because the way you tell a story to a group of friends, the way you write a story down to tell it for your comic, it's not too much different. You're still going to have a beginning, middle, and end. You're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to have your plot twist. It's a beautiful thing. And people love those types of stories. And I'm pretty sure you've been to family events where people tell the same stories over and over again. And even though you might have heard them 1,000 times, it doesn't matter, because the way they told the story is what gets you excited to hear it all over again. So I'm saying all that to say that you can practice storytelling. Start with short stories. That's what they're for. Start with short stories and practice your ability to finish a story. Not a super long arc, not a super long epic whatever. Like, start with a short story, beginning, middle, end. Try different arcs, try different story structures, because the story structure that you think that you have to stick with, maybe it doesn't gel with how you want to tell a story. There's so many story structures out there. There's so many methods out there. Try one for one of your short stories and see how it works. Then let people read your stories. If they can gain something from reading your short stories, then you know that you're onto something. If they understand the plot, if they understand what's happening, then you know you're on the right path. And letting them read your stories will also give you feedback for what is working and what isn't working in your story. If they have a lot of questions about, like, well, how did this person show up here? Or what was the meaning of this thing that you kept mentioning? Like, maybe that will clue you in that there's some missing things that you might need to work out in your story. But you wouldn't know that if you didn't write the story and if you didn't share the story. And don't worry, no one is going to take your idea. What I've learned when it comes to ideas is that ideas are plentiful. Everyone has ideas. And I'm pretty sure we've all heard of that person who just said, oh, I had an idea for that thing, but that other person, they're the one who made it. And the reason why that is because even though a lot of people have ideas for things, a lot of people do not move forward with their idea. A lot of people don't take action on their idea. So if you have an idea and you are taking action to make that story and bring it to life, then it is yours. It is your idea. And you're bringing it to life. No one can take that from you. Good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. The person who creates the idea is the person who created the idea. The other thing that you should be doing is reading. I know that sounds crazy to say that reading is like, I shouldn't have to say like you should read, but I know a lot of people, even comic creators themselves, manga creators themselves, most of them are not reading comics or manga. They're not reading books. They're not reading or listening to audiobooks. They're not doing anything like that. But your ability to take a story that you love, pick something that you love. Like if you're doing adventure comics, adventure fantasy comics, adventure fantasy manga, read in that genre. See what's out there. If you want to create horror stories, read horror. See what's out there. Because studying the things that you like, you will start to notice patterns. And yes, you can either follow the same patterns that those artists and those writers have already laid, or you can deconstruct those patterns. Now, yeah, subverting expectations is not always what is expected, especially if you're looking for traditional style, fantasy, traditional style, horror, traditional style, romance, whatever the genre may be. But you have to know what's already been done to know if you are in alignment with those things or if you are introducing something new to those things, because you'd be surprised that sometimes you think that your idea is completely original, but it's been done 1,000 times. But you would have known that had you read in that genre. So just give it a try. Study the greats. Study what already exists, because you can remix and reuse and be inspired by what already is out there. To close up this talk, or to close out this conversation, art and story are equally important. Just like you practice art, drawing, and getting better at making comics, you should also practice the art of storytelling. These two things go hand in hand. People will enjoy a great story even if the art is bad, or not good, or mediocre. Whatever adjective you want to put right there, people will give the art a pass as long as they're enjoying the story. Start with simple comics. Start with short stories. Start with 1-page comics, 2-page comics, 6-page comics, whatever you need to start with. But start small and practice the art of storytelling and comic making in short form. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say on the topic. Let me know in the comment section below. Are you in agreement with me? Do you think that story is as equally important as artwork? Or do you think that artwork over everything? Let me know. Where do you fall? And give me your why. Why do you think the way you do? Because it's not enough just to have an opinion. I think you should also back it up. So let me know in the comment section below. Stay subscribed on the channel, because I am taking you along with me on my process of creating a short horror comic. And if you want to see my old comics, links in the description below, along with my Patreon. But thank you for watching. Until next time, let's make some progress.